1986. Best albums. We're going to go eat 11 best albums from 1986 that I have currently in my collection. Now, for me, 86, I got promoted to what was called a merchandise manager, which meant I got moved, but I also got more money. And since I got more money, that meant I could buy more records. And that I did. Now, obviously the flood wiped them out, but I've been bringing them back in because 86 was another one of these pivotal years for me when I look at the music. And I had bought a lot. And behind me, you could see some of the ones. These are the ones that didn't make it into my top 11, but there's the Liars, there's Big Black, Nails, Run DMC's there. I mean, just some great stuff. There's some Iggy Pop, Kraftwerk put out one, here we got Music Nonstop. We had the Honeymoon Killers. They put out an album. Peter Case put out an album. The Fabulous Thunderbirds, Tough Enough. They didn't make it. Because the best is what I'm going to show you now. So 86 was, like, for me, I was in my mid-20s now. Gosh, what would I have? 27 years old. So, there was just a lot of stuff. The college charts was kind of reigning supreme. But I did find, as I looked through here, there's a lot of really stuff that wasn't on the college charts that was just popular that I really liked. So we're just going to begin with number 11. And to begin with number 11, the Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. I mean, what can you say about this album? I did so many skits. I do entertainment at the company Christmas parties with, I would get a group of employees and we would do, we would kind of lip sync and fight for your right. Had a heck of a fun time with that one. So this is just a heck of an album. I mean, this is as subtle as a brick being thrown through a plate glass window. I just think about it. The opening starts, it's the kick drum from John Bonham from When the Levee Breaks. And then from there, the Beastie Boys, they sample every single record that they must have owned, everything that they could find. They were just sampling, put it in here, and it's just filled with these absurd, just absurd masculine fantasies, shall we say. It's so funny. This really was the first white rap group that anybody knew of. And it was the first hip-hop album to go to number 1. This opened the door for hip-hop. That then the African-American artists who had been out there trying to do something. I mean, if you had like Run DMC, LL Cool J, but nobody was hitting it big. This opened the door that suddenly all these other groups could start selling millions of albums. So extremely important. This is insanely humorous. It is dated, yes. I mean, there's rhymes like more rhymes than Phyllis Diller. Well, you're young, you're old. Who the hell is Phyllis Diller? But highly influential, great album. It just cracked me up when you heard it. I guess, there you go. That's their humor. Beastie Boys. Licensed to Ill, the very first one. Number 10, and I just had recently shown this and had gotten it in. Album by Public Image Limited. Album called The Album. And this is their hardest rocking album. They had on here Steve Vai played on this, and his guitars are insane. There's times where he's just going nuts, and it just doesn't make sense when you think about, the Public Image albums before that was so different. Ginger Baker's on here drumming. Sakamoto from Yellow Magic Orchestra, he's on here. There is some weird groupings of people, but what they came up with was probably the hardest rocking album Public Image has put out, and extremely catchy album. They had the hit Rise on here. Fantastic song. There's great hooks in here. Just Super good stuff. Just, if you see it, well worth, easy to remember. Unless you want a cassette, then it's called cassette. Or if you want a CD, it's called CD, or compact disc, I believe. So yeah, it depends on your format. But I got album because I wanted an album. That was number 10. Number 9. A little country. And I wasn't into country. And this guy comes along. And now I like some country. Dwight Yoakam. This was his first one, Guitars and Cadillacs. And in here, he reminisces a lot about his early life. And there's a lot of heartache and sadness. And it's really about the difficulty of finding true love. And for a young person, isn't that difficult? Well, I was married, so I already found it. But that's what he was talking about. The thing is, he was country, and he'd gone to Nashville, and him and Nashville did not get along, and he moved to California. And there, his playing became part of the Bakersfield sound, and he brought the Bakersfield sound back, because after Buck Owens, it was just kind of been dying out. And he goes in there and brings it back. He basically screwed the mainstream country niceties that were out there. He didn't want that lushness, all that polish, the violins, all that crap. No, we're going to keep it stripped down, and we're going to sing. And he has one heck of a country voice. He also wore very, very big hats. And, when they wear very, very big hats, they're probably just losing their hair on top, which he was. But super wonderful album. And he just went on to make better and better albums. He only got better. So that was my number 9. Number 8 here. And we have A Date with Elvis. Now, this is my original copy that I had from, I guess it goes that way, from the Cramps, A Date with Elvis. On this album, they decided that, let's forget about the horror-filled lyrics, and instead they went into sex. Very much sex-obsessed lyrics. How far can too far go? Hot pearl snatch. What's inside a girl? Can your pussy do the dog? Corn-fed dames. Hot pool of womanhood. Okay, you get it. Hey, that's what they went. But it's the sonics are a lot more clear on this one. It's not nearly as muddy, very easy to hear, and again, it's just this hilarious obsession with sex that's going on. That would continue. Really, they never got back quite to those horror lyrics again, which I personally did like. Poison Ivy, her Dwayne Eddy style guitar playing sounds great on here, but they also do various rockabilly styles. I mean, that's what they were about. Rockabilly, but then they just put on their own spin with their own lyrics. This is rollicking, energetic fun. You just can't go wrong with the Cramps and A Date with Elvis. So, great stuff. Then, oh my God, where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, number 6, I guess. No, but I just started at 11. I think it's number 7. Oh, talk about a cutout, huh? Right there you go. Skylarking. Skylarking was produced by Todd Rundgren and by XTC. It's, an XTC album. I should always probably tell you what the group is, huh? Off the Geffen label. And there is not much there. Just a lot of words. So, Skylarking, 8th album by them. This is like, you could say I don't know, how would you, post-psych pop. When you look at like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, when they were going into their psych, you could say you have that feel within Skylarking. This thing is just filled with intelligent, melodic pop music. And I would have to say, the lyrical arrangements, I mean, they're just graceful. They're beautiful. They float. I mean, just think of the opening track when it starts off, Summer's Cauldron. It begins, There's birds chirping. You can hear bees buzzing. And then it just quietly builds. It's gorgeous. It's just incredible. The lyrics, they're sweet, they're catchy, but they're definitely adult themes that they're dealing with, including on here, you know, the first ones did not have Dear God, but then they added that in, and this one does have Dear God. This is a pop masterpiece. And for many people, it'd probably be #1 for 1986. But it definitely, they came out and they really kind of changed things up again, as they were apt to do, XTC was to do, and they made one of the most gorgeously beautiful albums that has something to say. So, Skylarking, great stuff on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that was #7. All right, dude. You know, my last couple I did not lose track, but I started at 11, so I screwed up. #7, So, from Peter Gabriel. If you're watching TV and you turned on MTV, what are you going to see in 1986? He's a sledgehammer. It was everywhere. You couldn't escape Sledgehammer, but there was a reason. Sledgehammer was basically an Otis Redding inspired soul pop song that was infectious, and it was happy. We're talking happy coming from Peter Gabriel. It was so different, and that pushed this album to #1. And it was a good I mean, the album was great from start to finish. Just more words, everywhere words. And it was such an amazing album. It is his most accessible album. I think I can honestly say that. And because he was always experimenting, but on here, he kind of put it together. And he blended, what was neat is he blended really some of the African music that he had been hearing in with the jangly pop and soul music that he wanted to put out there. And it just, he added that into his moody art rock. It came up just an incredible album. I mean, it has Red Rain is on here. Don't Give It Up. Isn't that the one he does with Kate Bush, I believe? In Your Eyes. And then A Big Time. Hit after hit after hit. You know, just such a wonderful album. He really, well, he made billions, millions. So this is the one that keeps a check coming his way. No doubt. Okay, #5. Just showed this, I believe, last week on albums I brought back in. There's the vinyl that I originally had, and Spacemen 3. And this is their first album here. We have Sound of Confusion. So if you watched last week, you know, I just talked about this. You know, their early logo for their band was a syringe, because it was about drugs, and that's what they were, you know. They were not shy about talking about their love of drugs. This album is filled with rough garage energy. Sonic Boom and Pierce, I mean, they cranked up the amps, and they made just a great album here. You know, you have, it just starts off with Losing Touch with My Mind. That's the first one. Again, I mean, the songs, they're always a lot of times dealing with drugs. So we just begin with Losing Touch with My Mind, which really to me was a perfect fusion of like psych and proto-punk with drone influences. I mean, it is all over on there. They also, the song Hey Man. Hey Man was the first of many of overt references to gospel music. And that's made this group so interesting. They did other songs that dealt with gospel music. And you would not have expected, here's a group that's all influenced by all this drugs, but religion is a drug, right? That's what many will say. Will tell you. Not everyone. But it is just an incredible, great album that I have never tired of. Each listen, you can pick up something else within that wall of sound, within all that drone, and there is wonderful melodies in here. That was number 5. That was number 5. Number 5. Number 4. Robert Cray, Strong's Persuader. Wow. When I bought this thing, I put that on and I just went, whoa, what? This is so good. You know, with MTV's help, he did the video called Smoking Gun, which really showed that love can lead to murder. Which, you think about all the blues songs, there's a lot of murder within a blues song that deals with love. You know, I've been forsaken, someone's got to die. Well, here it was just good song after great song. Well, not good song, great song after it showed Smoking Gun. He followed up with I Guess I Showed Her. Then I Guess I Showed Her. Right Next Door, Because of Me came next, Nothing But a Woman. I mean, that's just bam, 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 bam. 4 extremely well put together great songs. He brought in the horns on this, and the horns are phenomenal, and they add so much dimension to the music on this. This is an inexpensive album to find, but if you don't own it, it is so worth it. It is so good. It was, you know, I was already buying blues, but this really, it got me excited. And I never had another Robert Cray album that excited me to what this did. He had other great albums, but nothing to me could compare to this, to Strong Persuader by Robert Cray, and an absolute favorite of mine to this very day. Number 3. Another album that really changed the course of music, you could say. Paul Simon's Graceland. And this just knocked my socks off. It knocked a lot of people's socks off because here he began using music from South Africa. Inner sleeve, just works. And that was during apartheid, obviously. And so he was highly criticized, but think about this. He brought apartheid to the attention of the world. It was out there, but it was just kind of ignored or not thought about. Suddenly, he's bringing it out there. Now, Ladysmith Black Mambazo is touring with him. The world knows about apartheid. So there was something good that came out of this. He also brought in Zydeco music, Conjunto Rock and Roll is in here. So he was just adding style after style, and he made it work. Again, everyone knows this album. It sold billions and billions of albums. But it's just this magical combination of all this catchy music that just grabs the listener. I mean, The Boy in the Bubble, Graceland, Graceland, Tennessee. I Know What I Know. Diamonds on the Soles of Their Shoes. I mean, You Can Call Me Al. You know, Chevy Chase. There we go. Wow. I never tire of this album. It's just so beautiful, so great. This was high on my list after The Flood. And I believe Rachel, the music man, sent me Graceland, and I mean, because it was big. I mean, this was one of those albums I really, really wanted back quickly. Number 2. Now, this would probably not be on any other list. Maybe not even the top 10, and I could be wrong. Screaming Blue Messiahs. There's my original. Now, you can find this super cheap. I saved my vinyl. When I bought this, This is one of those albums that blew me away. This is one of those albums I listened to, and I played it again and again. Every single song I liked. Every song spoke to me as a 3-piece outfit, and they were wonderful. Absolutely nothing of interest within here. I do have the original inner sleeve that won't go back in. We'll put that out because that's what I'm told to do. But it's a 3-piece, Billy Carter on guitars and vocals, Chris Thompson bass, Kenny Harris on drums, out of the UK. And it's really one of the first really bald singers that I really remember. I'm sure there's other ones, but man, he had no hair, and it's like, God, look at that guy. The guy's bald. Now everyone's bald. But back then, you know, that was kind of different, or you put on a big hat. But this was so freaking good. I mean, it starts with Wild Blue Yonder, goes into Holiday Head, Smash the Marketplace. Let's go down to the woods and pray, pray, pray for a brighter day. Wow. President Kennedy's Mile. Someone to Talk to, Killer Born Man. It is wonderful. This is just an album that makes me smile. I crank it loud. It has never gotten old for me. You know, some of their lyrics are dated, but it doesn't matter because they put the music together so well. Great stuff. And finally, the big one, number 1, 1986, in my top 5 albums of all time. And if I could get the plastic off, I would show this to you, but oh my goodness sakes, what is, and I just probably wrecked my cover, but I'm just making the tension. I'm making you wait because there's great tension. The original vinyl, it's the Waterboys. Fisherman's Blues, top 5 album. I put this is one of those CDs that stays in my car that I can pop on whenever. In fact, I'm listening to it again. It was a masterpiece. You know, the Waterboys were about big music. Well, here they went back and they went Celtic. And they use so much instrumentation that's just right from Ireland. It's like you're there at a little pub listening to this. But this is an album of joy. It's an album of celebration. It is an album that makes you feel good and happy. So it's wonderful. I mean, you know, just the beginning of Fisherman's Blues, a song I have talked ad nauseum about. But that is one of my favorite songs. If I had to do a top 10 favorite songs, which I should do someday, but it's very difficult, I'm sure that would have to be in there. We Will Not Be Lovers, Strange Boat, World Party, Sweet Thing. Then he goes into A Bang on the Ear where he talks about all his lost girlfriends. And wow, you know, finally Stolen Child, where a poetry is read. And I'm not big into poetry, and they're in Keats, but it's beautiful. This album is pure joy, pure happiness. I've never tired of it, and you know what? It's an emotional album, and I had a hard time getting this after the flood. Now I had my vinyl, but to get the actual album, and someone sent this, and actually Brian up in Maine sent me this. He had found it, and he did that, and it's just this is one of those that it brought a tear to my eye. I mean, I seriously had tears because this meant so much to me. So that's it. That's 1986, which was an incredible year again for me, with so much good music, and you can see the great stuff. I mean, the Liars didn't make it. I love the Liars. Wow, Big Black, love Big Black. Iggy Pop's not that great. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me and going through 76. Not 76, 86. On to 87 now, after I put away all these records. Bye.